Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we are here to review not one, but two of what I consider to be must-own releases from Vinegar Syndrome. I am talking about Joy of Sex and The Carpenter. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so Joy of Sex and The Carpenter. And if you guys follow me, you know that I am subscribed this year for the first time ever to Vinegar Syndrome as a yearly subscriber. I am tracking that on a monthly basis and putting it all here on videos when I get the announcements for each month, when I get the shipment in of what's included in the subscriber package, and what I buy with the subscriber discount. And then at the end of the month, I will do a full review and rankings of each of the titles that I bought for the month. And occasionally I'll throw in some individual reviews like this, all to share the experience with you and let you decide if maybe subscribing to Vinegar Syndrome is something you'd be interested in. I'm trying to figure out if it's something that I will ever do again, all that kind of stuff. And this month's, we kind of run behind a little bit, but I got a couple of things. Now, one was included in my subscriber package. One I had to purchase separately from the Cinematograph line. And I consider these to be two of the better releases that I've gotten recently from Vinegar Syndrome. And I am going to talk about their quality for sure, but I'm also going to tell you a little bit about the movies, and I just think that these are two, before they are gone, you might want to consider running out there and grabbing. Now, one of them is like a cult horror. The other one, the Cinematograph release of Joy of Sex, I've been kind of banging the drum on since it got announced, because I think a lot of people had kind of soured on the Cinematograph line, and they didn't really know what this movie was, and it's one that I happen to have grown up with, watching a lot. And it's a coming-of-age, sex comedy. And I think a lot of people thought it was like an artsy-fartsy thing that Cinematograph can be kind of guilty of putting on there sometimes. That's not this. This is a funny 80s movie, and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to start with The Carpenter, because out of the two, I do think The Joy of Sex is the better movie overall. But for cult film status and a fun, ridiculous, nightmare mind bend of a slasher that has some cool practical effects, you got to look at Wings Hauser's The Carpenter here. And this movie, it was a full new 2K restoration and scan. And you might say, why was it only a 2K? Why is it on a Blu-ray? All this. Well, it looks like all they could get a hold to was a 35 millimeter print. Now, what's different about that? So they don't have the negative that you actually make prints from. They have a print that was made from a negative. So you can't get the same resolution out of that you can from the negative. Holds a 35 millimeter negative holds all the way up to 5.6 to 6K resolution. That print is going to be 2 at best, because prints were delivered for 2K cinema packages back in the day to show in the theater, reel-to-reel prints. That's what they had. So that's going to be the best that they can do with it. I've had a lot of people say, oh, no, 2K cinema packages were the standard. Now, most of the time, they didn't even necessarily achieve 2K. It was probably more like 1.5, but they could get to 2. But it was called a 2K cinema package that the prints had to be delivered in. So you couldn't watch it in any better than that. So that kind of print is all they had to work with. They didn't have the negative, apparently. So that leads you to mastering it in 2K and putting it down onto a Blu-ray at 1080p. That makes the most sense. I trust Vinegar Syndrome when it comes to that. They make their bones in restoration. They know what they're talking about when it comes to that. So that is why you get a 2K scan, but they did a lot of work to it. Now, I will say that, and we'll get to this in a minute, there's some spots where you can see that there were just things that they couldn't save, but we'll get to that in a minute. The movie itself, though, like I said, it's like a fever dream. You have this husband and wife, and the wife has like something. She has psychiatric problems, let's say, and she even dwells on them and maybe thinks they are worse than they are, and she won't even listen to her doctor. But she gets kind of cleared by the doctor or the hospital or whatever, and her husband go to their house. They get this house, and they hire a bunch of handymen, carpenters to fix it up. Well, her husband is like tired of dealing with her and all of her stuff, and she's not really there for him, I guess is a nice way to say it, to meet his needs. So he's a cheater. He's like a college professor. He's sleeping with whoever. So you're going to get a little bit of TNA in this movie, not as much as you might think. This movie was filmed in Canada. It's like a Canadian Canucksploitation, I think is one thing I heard. But doesn't really feel like that. They go to this house, and she's taking this medicine because she's having these lucid nightmares, and she can't tell if they're nightmares, hallucinations, or whatever, but they're cursed with shoddy carpenters, and carpenters that kind of give her a hard time when her husband's not around. And she gets what is basically like a guardian angel in the form of Wings Hauser, who plays a carpenter who works odd shifts. He works overnight. He's working. He takes pride in his work. And he might just be a psychopathic killer who is her guardian angel to protect her and kill anybody that bothers her, unless she's just psycho and maybe she's imagining it all or she's doing it herself. So you kind of go back and forth into that situation. Like, is this happening? Is she imagining it? Is she doing it? Like, what's going on? Because she's a little loopy. But turns out that he is the ghost, if you want to say, of a serial killer, not a serial killer, a convicted murderer who was executed. And this was his house. And he's taking pride in seeing it finished. And he's going to rub out anybody who gets in the way of that, screws it up, or hurts this woman who is also trying to get this house fixed. But it doesn't end well. And it's really trippy. Like, I can't, it's hard to tell what's happening sometimes versus what she's dreaming or hallucinating. The practical effects in this are like, they're there and they're fun, and they're almost like purposely tongue-in-cheek and over the top and kind of bad in spots, but just total fun. I mean, so this is not one to be like taken seriously, although they do delve into trying to be serious at some points. But I just think like of the stuff they've put out, that could be more mainstream and just more fun for more people. I think this is one that you would want to get in that situation. And I think it's a lot of fun. Now, here is the artwork on that. You can see the spot gloss and all that. Vinegar Syndrome is going to do good artwork. Let's just say that'll solve your problems there in a couple of spots. And when it comes to the actual restoration of it, you can see, and if I can put the footage on here, there are lines in here. There's some little moments, some little lines, some little artifacting that you can tell they just couldn't save. But you got to remember, this isn't a negative. This is a print that was laying around. So if that print got scratched, there's a finite amount of things that you can do to fix it. So I trust that it's nothing that's distracting. It kind of adds to the immersion of this gritty nature of this older B movie that you're watching. It feels like maybe you're watching it in a theater experience. I totally dig it. I think it goes right along with it. There is a reason that they make digital assets that you can lay over digital film to add scratches, to add dust, to add grain. It's all about getting a feeling, right? A vibe, a look to something that this has naturally that adds to it. So it's a high recommend for me. It is like, my mom came in when I was watching the end of this, and she even caught herself like watching the last 5 or 6 minutes of this. There's some cool stunts. There's a fire stunt towards the end. I'm not going to spoil it. that goes on longer than any I've seen really in a movie, which is impressive for the budget they had and everything. Wings Hauser is sort of a cult status like hero for these type of movies. And of course, like you're going to get your cool artwork here. This is raised and spot glossed, embossed, all that kind of stuff. And then slide it out. You got that here. You open it up and there's the disc. You do have reversible artwork. So there's like the original artwork on it. So that's fun. And you do have some extras on here. You have commentary with William Morris and John Dixon from the Film Collective podcast. You have Aggressively itself. You have a making of documentary featuring interviews with cast and crew. You have the reversible sleeve artwork. You have tools to play with. You have an interview with Wings Hauser himself. So you have some extra features on here too to spruce that up a little bit. I love, has she found her guardian angel? Is she in fact a delusional psychopath? Or does the carpenter have his own axe to grind? All that spiel I went through, that could have basically summed up the movie for you. They did a good job with it. But I think it's fun. I think it's a more mainstream watchable release if you're tiptoeing in the Vinegar Syndrome. So for me, it's a high recommend. And then the one that I think is the best of the lot is 1984's Joy of Sex. This is the cinematograph line. And I'm going to pull this off here, my J card, because I really dig this artwork, y'all, a lot. So if you want this, you better be starting to think about it because they only did 3,000 of these. You can see I actually got a pretty low number here. I think I got, if it will focus on it, I got 154 out of 3,000. So a pretty low number. And I actually, when I got these, I was a little bit confused because I thought this was a 4K. And this is one negative. I'm going to start off with the negative on here. I don't really know why they didn't do a 4K of this because there's been other cinematograph like Little Darlings that is 4K. This definitely fits that mold, but they did a full new 4K restoration and scan and they put it on a Blu-ray. That's not something they normally do. I kind of had that question about Street Trash because Street Trash is a recent movie that they have made that was shot in 35 millimeter and finished in 4K and put on a Blu-ray. Now that one, I think it's probably because that line, the VSL or VSP, whichever line it is, I'm looking around, I put it up already. Almost all those are Blu-rays, and the extra $5 to $10 price point is probably why they didn't do that one in 4K. Because they still have Street Trash left and it's an expensive packaging and that whole line has been Blu-ray. So I'm thinking that they were thinking the extra $5, $10 they would have to charge for the 4K in order to make it the same profit point might have stopped people from buying it. So that's my theory on Street Trash. I don't think they're going to come back. Vinegar Syndrome doesn't really do it. I don't think they're going to come back and hit you with a 4K release of something they sold you on Blu-ray. I really don't. They haven't done that. Now, they might make me a liar. They might do it eventually, but they haven't done that before. So usually there's a reason. They think it's the best it's going to get. They think it's the best it's going to sell at that point. Whatever. I do have questions on this because this looks so good on the Blu-ray with that 4K scan. Unless they tried to put it on a 4K and they said, you know what? When we put it on 4K and blow it up and you add more information to the area, it highlights some problems that will be hidden if we condense it down to Blu-ray. That's my only explanation for it, and that's total speculation. I don't know. If they come back and hit me with a 4K of this, I'll be pissed off and I'll say something on here about that. But they haven't done that yet, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's part of the way it looks is the reason. But now, on with it. This looks great. You'd be hard-pressed. I'm going to try to put clips. Hopefully I put clips of Carpenter as well. But I'm going to try to put clips in here. And remember, it's just my 4K camera recording my OLED TV, so it's pure reference only. It's just a reference for what I'm talking about. It's going to look better in person. All the compression rates and everything are changed, but it looks so good. I just kept thinking, man, if it was 4K and it had like HDR, this son of a bitch the color would blow your retinas out. It looks that good. There's for all you grain haters, there's not a bunch of grain fluctuation, high and low. This thing is consistent. It looks good. And I mean, I can't, whereas like in The Carpenter, using a print, I could find like some scratches and stuff. You will not find that here. It looks damn good. And this movie, like I said, this has, I think a lot of people thought this was like an art housey, artsy fartsy film. It's not. It is a coming of age sex comedy from the 80s, 1984. And it has some new features. It's got a new audio commentary with film critics. It's got a new interview with the director. It's got a new featurette, an interview with the writer where she talks about things that had to be cut out of the movie, which I'd be interested to see if they have in here. I haven't even watched to see if there's like deleted scenes on here. I don't think there is in the extras. But that's interesting considering she talks about the name of the featurette is It Was All Cut. So there you go. I love the artwork here. I think the artwork's cool. It almost has a lenticular like look. So very, very cool. The movie itself, I've talked about a few times, but the main girl in the movie, she's a hypochondriac. She's got a mole on her chest. She goes to the doctor. He tells her it's just a mole, but she's convinced she's dying and has 6 weeks to live. All right, because of a mishap, she's convinced she has 6 weeks to live, and she wants to lose her virginity in that 6 weeks. She wants to have sex, learn about sex, do all the sex stuff before she dies. And there is a kind of congruent storyline where there is a guy in the same situation. Now, he doesn't think he's dying. He's just out trying to lose his virginity. They both enlist help to try to do that throughout the movie. It is a comedy. Christopher Lloyd plays her father, who's a hard-ass, coach at the high school she goes to. And he is hilarious in this as a grumpy old bastard who scares the crap out of everybody, being a hard ass, which is funny for Christopher Lloyd. Then you have Ernie Hudson, who plays the principal of the school, who is like he wants to run the school like everybody are soldiers. All the teachers and the staff are soldiers working for him and keeping everybody in line and get in there and do your battle. And he is funny. There's some funny comedic moments towards the end of the movie with him. But so you have Ernie Hudson, you have Christopher Lloyd in here, and you're going to see a lot of other recognizable faces. Like even in small parts, there's a guy that plays a bartender who has a huge part as Kenny the bully in the movie Mischief that I love so much. So you're going to see a lot of people that you recognize in here. It's not like an independent, low-budget movie anywhere. This is a legit film that played a lot, that had a big release, and it is fun. Total coming-of-age sex comedy with this little twist. Everything's about how to lose your virginity. The impetus on this, though, is the girl's a hypochondriac and thinks she's dying. That gives a lot more funny moments because of that. So it adds this extra layer. Then there's this other little subset. She kind of decides to be a champion of a girl who gets pregnant in high school, and the high school and Ernie Hudson are trying to kick her out of school so that there's not like a rash of pregnancies. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like they're trying to not condone it, so they're trying to push her out, and they're fighting for her to get to come back to school. So there's that plot going on under there too. Total coming of age things that teenagers handle and funny ways in high school. You have a teacher who's trying to teach sex ed, and she's like, that's all these kids think about. So it's fun. It is not some super highbrow, artsy fartsy cinematograph release. It is a lot of fun. So you got your box set here, and then it's like the digipack that they have. You open it up. It's just a 1-disc release, and then you have a booklet with all kinds of info in here, cool pictures, all that kind of stuff. It is fun. It's funny. You have also, I think it's like a thing of, stickers. You got some stickers in here randomly. So that's fun. And I like it. I guess my only complaint is I would like an explanation of why they didn't do the 4K. I can make an educated guess like I did on here, but otherwise I don't know, because like Little Darlings is a 4K. This is right there with Little Darlings in terms of tone, in terms of look, all that kind of stuff, in terms of time period. This is yet another Paramount release. You guys remember, Chase said, there's probably going to be more Paramount stuff coming your way, and we're getting it here. And this one is just an absolute high recommend. Now, if you want this packaging and everything else, I suggest you move fast. I don't know how many's left at the time of recording this or when you guys are going to see it. I'm having to record a few reviews together here, so I'm not sure when you're going to see it. But I think this is actually, this is based on a best-selling nonfiction novel, believe it or not. So interesting. It says a raucous 80s sex comedy, and that's really what it is. It's not something that these two. The reason I think these are two high recommends. First of all, the quality and the artwork, all that stuff is fun. But if you're looking for more mainstream stuff that appeals to a wider audience and not just a niche audience from Vinegar Syndrome to kind of get in with, these two releases are that. They're that. If you're a horror fan, you're an 80s horror fan of any kind, you're going to get into this. This is going to be for you. If you're an 80s comedy fan, sex comedy fan, 80s, 90s, all that kind of stuff, this is going to be for you. So it is a wide range, much more wider base appeal for these two movies than a lot of other stuff released by Vinegar Syndrome. And then the fact that they're good, fun movies and great quality and the packaging and all that. These two are high recommends. I consider these, if you're considering anything from Vinegar Syndrome this year so far, these two are musts. These two, and I would say, definitely some from this past month, like Virtuosity. I'm in on all the VSUs, so I'm biased there. Iced. This is much more mainstream even than Iced to me. It's even higher. It's higher quality and everything else. But Iced is a big recommend for me as well. But these two even above that because of the wider audience appeal, I think, that you get out of these two. So that's what I got for you today. Of course, those will get ranked when I finish up the month. I got other stuff to watch. I got The Possession of Joel Delaney for my reviews for this month. I've got White Cannibal Queen. I've got Her Body. So I've got stuff that that will be ranked along with these when I do my final rankings for the month. It always kind of runs a month behind because they send them out mid-month, and then I get them and I have to watch them. So we're usually going right into the next ones as I'm reviewing the previous ones. So you'll see me talk about these briefly again, but I wanted to let you know on these because the stock is always limited. And if you want to get these when they have their best versions, you better act on them pretty quick. And I do recommend them. I think they have the broadest appeal, and they're great releases. So that's what I got for you this time. You guys know we do it all here. We do 4K Blu-ray reviews like this. We do physical media news. We do rankings, list, my big movie recommendation list that I love doing that are so popular, bringing all these other films to you guys, putting them back out there again and giving them new life. I love doing that. I do it all from a fan and a filmmaker's perspective. That's what we do here. And if you enjoy it, please like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. If you want to help support the channel more, you can join at my Patreon link or right here on YouTube. Couple dollars a month, get your name in lights on every single video. Behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, members only videos, and so much more. I have a couple things that I probably can't review here wide that I'll put on YouTube and Patreon for my members because I'm not sure what YouTube will let me do. But that is what I got for you this time. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.